Hi and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ayanda Mokwana, and for today's video we're speaking pretty privilege. I made a post on social media asking people to please tell me what they think having pretty privilege has done for their lives, and for those that do not have it, I also asked how they think that has also impacted their lives. The comments were many, but I have narrowed them down to two sides which just simply explain what having pretty privilege is like and what not having pretty privilege is like. So I'm gonna go ahead and read those comments. And this one is actually not a comment from the post. It is a different post by someone else, which is what actually inspired this video. The post went, we were asked what pretty privilege has done for us, and I said that men tend to leave me alone when I state my demands. There is no insults, no drama or fake promises. They just get it, or they really go out of their way to fix whatever I complain about. It reminded me of a conversation that was had on here, that it is easy for attractive people to tell others to stop settling because they attract people that see their worth. We generally have things easy. This is a post from a person that has pretty privilege, and from the comments of the post that I made, somebody with pretty privilege commented that I remember sometime a few years ago I went to the hospital to get medication after my dental appointment. I got there and the queue was long with sick people, disabled people, etc. One guy that works there thought I am pretty and that I should not queue like everyone, so I got my medication within a period of 10 minutes while there were people queuing for theirs for hours. I felt bad, but I was in pain and I wanted to get my meds and go home. The same person commented again and said that I can name a number of things. 85% of the things that I have achieved aren't a result of hard work but pretty privilege. And I actually liked that this person was so aware of how their pretty privilege has benefited them, because most of the time people do not like it when they are reminded of how easily they have gotten some things. And it's the same issue with colorism as well, with the conversation of Pearl Tusi, how she is always just out of touch with how much the way she looks has contributed to the strides that she has made in her career. And it is actually refreshing and rare to see people that have pretty privilege or are light skinned admit to say that, well, I acknowledge that part of the reason I'm so successful is because I look this way. I like that. And on the comments, the people that have no pretty privilege commented the following: back in high school, I was bullied a lot, and that made me have a low self-esteem. It made me believe that I wasn't pretty or cool. I just isolated myself from a lot of things, such as joining the school choir. I refused to form part of things that required me to be in front of people. I just regret letting people get to me that way, because today I don't have any pictures from my school years. I'm getting emotional. Let me just stop. And someone else said that some girl did a whole series about being the fat friend in your friend group, and that really forced me to look at the way I socialize as a dark-skinned, non-conventionally pretty fat woman. Even though I share her experiences, actually admitting them to myself and saying you don't have this and you don't have that because of how you look can be upsetting. I am very confident. I think I'm gorgeous, but I also know that most people do not think so. I also know that successful men always aim to achieve above average, and their choice in women is no exception. I realized I don't have pretty privilege early on in life, so I always aim to be smart, to be the smart and the successful friend. I had to find my way in social cycles, and since I was not going to be the pretty friend, I made it a point to become the smart and successful friend with a thriving career and business. So if you did not know what pretty privilege is, I'm sure by now you have an idea. The main point of pretty privilege is that when you're attractive, you get things easier. When you are not attractive, your life just becomes a tad more difficult. So yeah, that is pretty privilege, guys. Let's get into the video. According to biology, attraction is determined by physical traits, and as such, the determination of what is attractive will depend on what people deem positive traits for reproduction. But even when the aim is to not reproduce, people would still want to associate with attractive people because the benefit to being attractive is not just attractive genes. As you will see in this video, attractive people tend to have more money, have bigger social cycles, and also tend to have a higher social status. So even when the plan is not to eventually have offspring with someone that is attractive, just merely associating with them can be of a great benefit for people. Anthropologist Helen Fisher explains that natural selection has evolved all kinds of mechanisms in order to win. Good looks are often a sign of fertility and health, so evolution has conditioned us to prefer them in a partner. It's survival of the fittest. If you have 4 children and I have no children, you live on and I die out. From a biological perspective then, attraction is a sign of genetic fitness. In this way, being attractive is good. And I know what you're thinking, but before we get angry, in a study titled The Role of Facial Orientation in Newborn Infants, preference for attractive faces by Slater, Paul, Quinn, Hayes, and Brown, they presented newborns with 4 pairs of faces, each containing one face rated more attractive and one face rated less attractive by adults. Then they recorded how long it took the infants to look at each face. The infants spent significantly more time looking at the faces in each pair that had been rated more attractive by adults, which suggests that recognition of facial attractiveness is innate rather than learned. Method. Charles Darwin speaks of survival of the fittest, which just means that the animals with strong characteristics for survival will survive, and those that do not have strong characteristics for survival will die out. Same with people. Those that do not have a strong immune system, which is often evident through your appearance, do not possess desirable traits for reproduction. This can also be determined through physical fitness as well. Those that appear to be physically fit are often seen as more attractive for the same reasons I've given above. For women, the level of attraction decreases as they grow older, as their attraction is closely tied to their fertility. Although science explains this well, we're still having the issue of pretty privilege, where pretty people tend to have greater advantages than people that do not have pretty privilege. I'm sure you're still wondering, what is this pretty privilege that we're speaking of? Pretty privilege is the idea in which people that meet social beauty norms are associated with positive attributes such as success and health. What that simply means is that the better you look, the better treatment and opportunities you will also receive. Like most other biases, pretty privilege is something that we're all aware of, whether we have experienced it firsthand or not. Yet it's not often that we are willing to admit it or even talk about it, especially if you're at the receiving end of its benefits. This is what I had meant earlier when I made the example with Pearl to say that it is very rare for people that look a certain way to admit to being more successful because of the way that they look. Many studies have proven how one's looks determine how they are perceived. This happens in both social and professional settings. On top of sexism, racism, and ageism, all of which influence beauty ideals, where we fall on the physical attractiveness spectrum can determine our quality of life, irrespective of our personality, skills, talents, or anything else that we may have to offer. I apologize guys, I'm not feeling well. Pretty privilege, lookism, or beauty bias is discrimination on the grounds of one's appearance. And although many people may argue the existence of pretty privilege through the reasoning such as personal preference or that there isn't just one form of pretty, we can narrow down this concept to the conclusion that most things considered pretty or attractive meet Eurocentric beauty standards. That would be the tall, wide blue eyes or the Instagram and TikTok face. And although standards of beauty change over time, there's the reality that they still very much revolve around Eurocentrism. the halo effect is the tendency for positive impressions of a company, person, brand, or product in one area to positively influence one's opinion or feelings in another area. The halo effect is the name given to the phenomenon where evaluators tend to be influenced by their previous judgments of personality or performance. An example of the halo effect in action is our overall impression of celebrities. Since people perceive them as attractive and successful, they tend to also see them as kind or funny and intelligent. What this simply means is that people would look at someone as one thing, usually that they are attractive, and then assume that they're also kind or intelligent. The kernel of truth hypothesis is the idea that stereotypes, despite being exaggerated generalizations about a diverse group of individuals, sometimes contain elements that accurately describe the qualities of the stereotyped. Teachers doing this, that is, treating attractive learners with more care and attention than unattractive learners, results in there being an immediate neglect for children that are not considered as attractive. This results in the other children succeeding ahead, which is just a glimpse of the reality that they will live as attractive adults. While the children seen as unattractive are isolated, which results in them performing poorly, which further reinforces the belief that they perform poorly because of the way that they look. The most frustrating thing about this concept, especially the halo effect, is that looking at attractive people as kind, hardworking, and intelligent automatically places people that are not seen as attractive on the other end of the spectrum. That would be that they are lazy, unkind, and not intelligent. From a young age, children seen as more attractive tend to score more on academic performances and are highly popular and also have an overall pleasant experience in school. And in adults, those that are seen as attractive have a greater success in the workplace. They are better liked, have more success in dating, have a higher dating and sexual experiences, have greater health both physically and mentally, have higher levels of confidence, higher levels of self-esteem, and a more positive self and have more positive self-perceptions and better social skills. In another case, there were two books that were written for children, in which in one book the attractive person was kind and pleasant and everything, whereas the unattractive person was, well, the evil one. And in another different book, they swapped. The unattractive person was kind and pleasant, whereas the attractive one was the evil one. When they were asked, or after the children had read the books, they found that the children were failing to assign positive attributes to the person that they had seen as unattractive, even though they had read about the unattractive person being the kind one and not the evil one in the book. What this means is that when you look a certain way, people will often expect you to also act in a specific way. If you're unattractive, you are going to be seen as not truthful. Is it truthful? I don't know what's happening to my English. When you're not attractive, you're not going to be seen as honest or kind or pleasant, etc. In adults and children as well, those that are considered attractive tend to have more social capital. Many people want to associate with them and they have endless friendships. In adults, attractive people have more sexual and dating experience, and studies have shown how women would not hesitate to meet a stranger from a dating app if they appeared attractive, and how they would also not mind having unprotected sex with attractive men, even though attractive men tend to have a higher chance of having STIs. Many of you remember the case of Precious Ramabulana, who was unfortunately murdered and assaulted, and there were people that were not surprised by the perpetrator's looks. There were many conversations of how he really must have been a criminal because he looks the way that he does. But the problem with this thinking is that it disables people to see attractive people as having the capacity to commit serious crimes as well. Attractive, successful, and rich people tend to get away with unacceptable actions and crimes because they look the way that they do. People cannot begin to associate them with anything other than perfection. To make it worse, there has been studies that prove that people that are attractive or accusers that are attractive tend to receive less sentences than accusers that are not seen as attractive. In conclusion, as heartbreaking as it is, the truth of the matter is that there are people that have it easy in life because they are seen as attractive, and there are people that perpetually suffer because they are not seen as attractive. And it is important to also note that pretty privilege does not happen in isolation. There's an intersectionality as well, wherein one's age, gender, social class, and disability status contribute to whether they are seen as attractive or not. So that's it for today's video, you guys. If you have a view on this topic, please leave a comment below, and please like if you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe. See you in the next one. Annyeong.